Hello and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value for your money. I'm Judith West, host, and we are very fortunate today to have two well-respected female experts on our show, which is the first day of Women's History Month. Our guests are Alair Townsend, former publisher of Crain's newspaper, and Jerry Sedler, author of Don't Retire, Rewire. Hello, and thanks for being on the show, Alair.
Nice to be with you, Judith.
You know, you've had a really fast-lane life. Deputy Mayor of New York City, Washington Human Resources and Services, publisher of Crain's, and now you're on the cusp of that R word, otherwise known as retire. Why?
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 Well, the alarm clock's been dragging me out of bed for 40-something years. And it dawned on me one day that life is not a dress rehearsal. For me, I think this is it. And I lost some very important people in my life recently, and that made me just think a little bit. Do I want to continue to do the things I am doing, was doing at the office, or do I want to spend my time in other ways? I didn't want to do nothing.
Right.
I wanted to do some other things.
Yeah.
And I believe I found an interesting combination of things that are productive and interesting.
Yeah, which brings us to this business of being interesting and productive. This show is taped in New York City, and New York City is a fast lane life. What about, I could see where you would find interesting and productive things to do, but what about the rest of us, Alair, who haven't had the kind of life you've led? What are we going to do when we don't want to go to work every day anymore? Do you have any suggestions?
Well, first of all, ask yourself, is that really the decision you want to make to stop working full-time? I'm working virtually full-time, but not at a regular job. So almost all of us in various moments of every day, week, and month have said to ourselves, if only I had more time.
Right.
So you have to make a little mental list. Maybe it's a long list and it should be written down. What are those things that I have always wanted to do? Right. And one of the things I firmly believe you should do is have a routine, have some responsibilities that you want to and need to meet. And that may be, for many people, volunteer work in the not-for-profit area.
Which I want to go back on, but you raise a good point. Have a list of things you want to do.
Right.
After all, I don't know if that term is still used anymore, but it used to be the years, I don't even want to say retirement, the years that you stopped working full-time were considered the golden years.
Right.
Well, you know, you can't really enjoy gold if all you have in your pocket is enough for 10.
Right.
You ran a big budget when you were in Washington. You ran a large organization.
Right.
You know something about this world. You're sophisticated in that area. You know, people facing retirement, they get IRAs, marital trusts, annuities, immediate annuities, delayed annuities, 401ks, Roth conversions. Do you understand all that stuff?
Well, I understand a fair number of them.
What are people supposed to do? Where can they go? I think I understand a fair number too, and I must tell you, Alair, when I start to read about these things, my eyes glaze over.
Right. Well, some people find it interesting to dig in and they buy books or read magazine articles, and almost every financial services company have brochures about retirement and retirement planning. So if that's your thing, if you want to get right down into the details, do that. If not, spend some time with a financial advisor. My own personal advice is don't hire somebody who's going to make money every time he or she buys or sells stocks for you.
Right.
Hire a neutral advisor who's going to take a look at what you have, what your holdings are, what your pension may be, what Social Security will be, and help you plan for retirement after a full-time paycheck. And by the way, you'd better not wait until the day you retire
that's just
to do that.
That's just what I was going to say. When should people start doing this?
You know, they should start as soon as they get their first job.
When they're in their 20s?
Yes, indeed. You know, I'm going to tell you a little secret that I share with women, and I tell them.
It's okay, I'm a woman.
I know, and our listeners out there. The men can listen too.
The men can listen too. Good.
But I say that I think the only time that time is on a woman's side relates to investing. Every other bit of time isn't always so terrific for us. Right. But when you start saving, the best savings are the earliest savings because of the magic of compound interest, which you know. Right. That means I save $1 this year. Next year, I make interest in that $1. And so next year, working for me is the $1, the interest on it, and so on and so on. It builds.
But let's say, are you saying that if I'm a 28-year-old, I only wish, and I was having a good time, that I should really deny myself pleasure in my 20s and 30s and 40s in order to have a pleasant future in my 60s and 70s?
I sure am.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I am. I'm asking you to say, do you absolutely have to have that handbag?
Do I need those Jimmy Choo shoes?
Must you have them, or could you just kind of put a couple of $100 away this month, this week, whatever, sock it away, and by the time you're ready to retire, that $200 that you might have spent on a purse is going to be worth several $1,000s.
But you know something, Alair, this is not the first time people have heard this. I've read this and you've read it, you know, we're talking about it now. The fact remains, people don't do it.
They don't do it enough.
They don't do it enough.
And I worry especially
they don't do it enough.
about women because we live much longer than men. We are really quite sturdy.
Yes.
And
many of us do not have any economic independence.
That's correct. So if you count on that guy out there on the white horse, you might be sadly mistaken. One may not come along. He may die prematurely. He may find some other damsel in distress.
And he may leave you.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
he may find another damsel in distress. You've got to always be thinking about taking care of yourself.
Tell me something, now that you're on the cusp, what is one of the most exciting things you do?
I write a column every 2 weeks for Crain's New York Business. That's great fun.
It's more fun being a columnist than a publisher?
Well, I wrote the column as well before. So, but that's good. It's discipline. It keeps me focused, and I have to stay up to speed. So that's very good. I'm also on the board of Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, and I love that.
Right, and so you have really managed to find some very exciting things to do. And I suppose, I guess, what we should say as a final comment to our viewers, I like your idea of don't just talk about the things that you've dreamed to do, but actually write them down. And maybe, I think it might even be interesting, as you say, to say, maybe even write them down when you're in your 30s and again when you're in your 40s and see how many of them stay on the list. Right. We've been talking, folks, about retirement. We've been very fortunate to have a guest who has lived a very exciting life, and indeed, she may not like the word, is living a very exciting, should I call it retirement?
Semi-retirement.
Semi-retirement, semi-R word.